live. You're live.
Hi, it's Tammy with Cheers to Creativity. And we are doing a Friday night for Central Stencil. And currently I'm standing outside my home in Lindenhurst, Illinois, because that's where the finished project I did for you tonight is. I'm going to show you how to do this step by step, but I want you to see it on my front door. This is the project we're going to do tonight. It is using the buffalo check and the deer head and the various stencils, all from Essential Stencil. So I'm going to show you.
We got a whole bunch of people signing on right now, so let's just give them a second.
Okay, we'll give you a second. Thank you. I'm very grateful. My sweet husband is helping me out so I can stand out here. In Illinois, it is pouring rain, which is not very Christmassy, but thanks to him, our home is filled with lights outside. So this is our project that we're going to do for you using the buffalo check and the deer head. So we're going to show you how to do this. And how lucky for me that I did it on our last part of our screen door, front door, and with the burgundy door behind it, it shows up so well. I'm going to open the door to our foyer. It doesn't show as well, so I'm going to show you, and I'm going to show you kind of what inspired this project. This is our foyer, and this is my pride and joy of the season. It is a vintage tin deer, and somebody special got it for me, and it's the part of our foyer, and it includes kind of a woodlandy tree. I do 10 trees in our house. Not going to show you all of them, but here's this one. I'm just going to show you how to do the deer in the wreath on the buffalo plaid. So let's go this way. Oh, I have to show you. This is my spindle tree. It's made with a bunch of vintage spindles that my husband put together for me. And this is a deer I got to paint with a mixed media class with a dear friend of mine, Miss Jennifer Evans. So let's go paint, okay? But I want you to know that I do use Essential Stencils in my decorating year-round, but at the holidays especially. This is our powder room, and there's another opportunity to see the buffalo check stencil. All right, this is going to be a quick little walk to the table where we will get started showing you how to do this. So, the buffalo check and the deer are really truly one of my favorite stencil sets from Essential Stencil, and I'm pretty darn sure I got it the week it was released, and you will see it's been well loved. But I want you to see that there's a lot of things that you can do with that stencil set. You just saw my powder room, so that was done completely different. It was the red and black check and the Merry Christmas, also Essential Stencil. But I'm going to show you just a couple fun things to do with the buffalo. This is just scrapbook paper that I did the buffalo with a bunch of different metallic paints and then added a bow. Kind of fun. How fun would that be to just frame possibly with some barnwood? Hint, hint. My husband frames things with barnwood for me. This is just, again, done on a piece of paper, and I added glitter to it, and then just kind of came back with the buffalo on another color, that being silver. Or how about a very traditional red and black check?
Lots of you have a beautiful home comments. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. We love to decorate, and we especially love the holidays. And you know, I know it's a different year, but hey, we still live here. We still like it. Here's another combination of the colors. Sometimes you just have to play, even if it's just with scrap type paper, to see how things turn out. But as I said, I use this particular set a lot. And I've done a lot of different things with it. This is done on a piece of reclaimed wood. So it's just the head done with one color and the snowflakes that I came back and added little embellishments with. So just ways to add to our stencils that it's just not one-dimensional. But I'm going to show you a couple others real quick. Here's another guy. This is the red and white background and just doing the deer in a dark brown, or is he black? He's dark brown. And then adding a Merry Christmas and even adding just a little foliage that I stapled to him. So those were done on wood, but you can also do them on canvas. This is really doing the buffalo plaid very straightforward, letting it dry, and then coming back and adding my deer. And again, I added some extra little stencils and some extra little stuff on him. Fun stuff. I'm going to set him aside. So I did the project tonight on my front door, obviously a window, and it's great, and I love it. And hey, I benefit from having it that way, and people who come to visit us will see it too. But sometimes the challenge with a window is what you have behind it. And so tonight I wanted to show you another option, and that is to do it on a mirror instead of just a window. So this is a vintage mirror, an oval mirror, and I'm going to show you the process of how I did what I did. And of course, the stencils I'm going to be using are the buffalo check and the deer head. So here's the deer head that we'll be using. Uh-oh, dropped something. And here is the buffalo check. Like I said, I probably had to have been one of the first people who have wanted this stencil, and it is well loved. In fact, it's one of my very few stencils that has a little wear and tear. So, hey Ruben, if you're listening, maybe you could play Santa. Or Santa, if you're listening, it might be time for a new one. So, that is what we're going to be starting with to do. But before that, I actually wanted to give myself an idea of where I needed the stencil to be. So I found about how big I wanted it to go, and I actually just used a round. Hey, look at that. That's an essential stencil too. And I laid it on my surface. And I did the measuring so I could draw around it. Hey, if you are popping on, please say hello. Please let us know where you're watching us from. If you've seen us before, that's awesome. I've not been on Essential Stencils page for a while, but love to follow all the other ambassadors as well. They all have such fabulous ideas. We all do things just a little differently, but we all just love what we've learned from each other.
So, you know what, just make a comment, because you're upside down when they see you, so you're not actually hanging from the ceiling, it's just the reflection in the mirror.
Oh, okay. All right. I'll try not to be upside down.
No.
Okay. I'm going to try to pull you guys up on my iPad for just a second here, so that I can see what we're doing. There we go. And by all means, I will try to watch comments. It's kind of hard when I'm painting or doing whatever I'm doing. But if I don't see them right now, I do go back through them later and respond. And even if you're watching the replay, let me know replay. Essential Stencil will be watching us, and they'll pick 3 winners tonight for some fabulous stencils. So by all means, give your comments so they know you're here. All right. Ready? Here we go. So I've taken my circle and And I'm doing this because I want to do kind of a wreath idea around my deer, okay? And I measured, and I cheated, I already did this. And then just so I can see it, normally I would tell you on like a wood surface to use chalk or a light pencil, but on a mirror or glass, that's gonna be really, really hard to see. So I just used a crayon. Hey, wait, this one says Aladdin. Maybe it's special. So, and I just drew around it. And I doubt that you can even see it, but there's a very, very faint line all the way around. And that just gives me a placement for what I wanted, where I want things to go. Let me set this aside. All right. So my first step, yes, I do look like I'm hanging it from the ceiling. Sorry, guys. Is to take the buffalo check stencil that I apparently threw on the floor and lay it down so I can give that as my background. So this is the stencil. Bring it up to you. Can you see that? There you go. There it is. Okay. And I decided rather than doing it horizontal, I wanted to be a little different and a little more interesting or challenging and do it on an angle. Now, I have to tell you, on our front door, it's done perfectly. I have no idea how, but it does. The slight disadvantage of doing it this way is it means I'm going to have to piece because I don't have enough stencil for here or for here. But that's okay. No. I'm going to pick where I think the up and down point of my mirror is. Look about right?
Yep.
Okay, maybe a little this way, a little that way. All right. And I'm using the line that I drew around my circle and kind of, I'm eyeballing. That's what I'm doing. Okay. So it is kind of important on this particular thing to tape down your stencil. You don't want this moving around. We are working with something a little more
slippery,
purposeful and slippery, very slippery. Thank you. So I'm going to use a little bit of painter's tape here and there. The really cool thing about painter's tape is it doesn't leave a residue. So I've just put it down a couple places. Hey, doing this project, I got to play with a bunch of different options for you. Whether I was going to use like a pouncer brush, spout like these. They come in different round sizes, available all sorts of places. Makeup sponge, never a bad choice. And of course, our wonderful, fabulous brushes from Essential Stencil. Okay. They all have a purpose and a place. I kind of chose what worked best at the moment in each thing. Okay. I'm going to let you know that before I put my stencil down, and I did not do this on camera, I apologize, is after my surface is clean, whether it's glass or a mirror, I'm going to come back with a paper towel and just some rubbing alcohol and wipe it down. That takes care of helps me with any extra fingerprints that they might be on there, because we don't want that to happen either. So I'm doing the background of what my deer is going to be sitting on. And I do want this to look nice, but I will tell you it's probably not going to be absolutely perfect. I might catch a mistake as I make it, and I might need to pick it up, clean it up with a little bit of a Q-tip, and I'll dip it into a little rubbing alcohol. And I might make a major mistake, and I might need to come back and be able to clean that off with a razor blade. So there are mistakes, but there's ways to fix them, and there are really no mistakes in creating just design changes. All right, my background was done with silver, and I chose to use a metallic color, and I used Deco Arts metallic paint. Hey, I'm using straight acrylic paint. I know if you've watched me before, either on my page or elsewhere, you may have heard me say you always use enamel paint when working on glass. This is my one of few reasons why I don't do it. It's I'm going on my front door especially. I want to be able to change that for the next season or something else. It will be durable, but it won't be permanent. And the nice thing about even doing it on this mirror, I can do this seasonally. I'm going to be doing this now. And if I don't like it, or if I make a mistake, I can remove it with warm water and a razor blade. But for tonight, we're going to be using just regular acrylic paint. So I'm going to take my acrylic paint. And what I found worked really well with this was to use more of a sponge. And I'm sure I could either use a makeup sponge or one of the pouncer sponges. And I think for this, that's what I'm going to try to use. So I'm going to make sure I load my brush. Oops.
Can I ask questions?
Yes.
A couple people commented about this stencil bleeding a little bit. Is there a trick to making it?
You know, buffalo plaid's a little bit of a challenge. And I'm going to show you what I find to be some tips for it. I will tell you that less is always more. So you don't want to put a lot of paint down. You want to put less more. So I've just loaded this brush pretty much. I'm going to make sure I now come back with a paper towel. I've offloaded a bit on my plate, but I'm taking a little bit off on my paper towel as well. So dry is better. Okay. Remember, I have a circle here, and I can see part of my circle lines. And the first thing I'm going to do is just kind of give myself an idea where I see those lines. I think that should be about it. Everything else should be within those lines. Right here. Okay.
You can always clean those edges up with a razor blade too, right?
I can, and I'm also putting snowflakes around them. So they're not going to be perfectly clean edges, okay? So I'm doing a bit of a pouncing in my open squares, and when I come to my diagonal squares, I am pouncing, but I'm kind of pouncing and pulling at an angle, and I'm not using a ton of pressure. Here, tapping, 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 tapping. Here, tapping and pulling just a little bit, but not heavy. Oops, making sure where I did put my cheat lines. And when I do need to reload, I'm tapping a little off on my plate, and I'm tapping on my paper towel as well. So I've done this and this. Now I'm now onto this line. When I'm working with buffalo plaid, I also really try to go one row at a time. So I'm tapping, and if I need to, I've taped it down, but I can lift it up and say, am I getting enough coverage under there? This is a background for me, so I'm not worried that it's completely covering, but you do want to make sure there's enough. This happens to be one of those squares for me that's been well loved, so I need to be a little careful and not do too much motion on it. So I've just reloaded my brush again. Oops. Tapped off, tapped on my paper towel. So are you all decorated for Christmas? You know, it is the second night of Hanukkah, so may I say Happy Hanukkah to my friends and watchers who celebrate. This particular design is fun because it is not just Christmas, and it's really not just Hanukkah, but it's a really good winter design. So I could leave this up longer than just for the next couple holidays. It could stay up through winter. Might not. So again, I'm tapping, and on my ones that are the check part, is that true? Yeah. I'm kind of tapping and pulling a little bit toward me, okay? Acrylic paint especially dries quickly, so I'm not gonna have to probably worry about waiting for this to dry before I go on to my next step. But if I did, I could always hit it with a blow dryer. Okay, remember, I'm coming around my circle here, so I need to be a little careful on that edge. Just tapping. The rain outside almost makes it sound like spring. Doesn't feel like spring. So I've added it to my brush, tapped off a little bit on my paper towel, tapping and pulling, just tapping, ooh, watching that edge. All right, and I kind of just take a quick little peek before I lift it up. Pick up this corner here and go, oops, right into a wet paint. All right, so I know I'm gonna have to come back and fill in a little bit there, a little bit on each side. Might not have been the best lighting on my side, but if I pull this up first, can you see how we have our check behind there forming? When I go to fill in this other areas, I'm going to go off to this side first. I need to make sure that one, that I'm covering the extra area, but that I also am lining it up with what is already there. So I want to make sure when I line this up that my open square has paint in it, that my stripes are going basically the same way. So I'm going to take this down again. I'm going to be careful about where my edge is, just kind of laying it down a little bit. Again, this is not going to be perfect, okay, but it'll give me an idea. So there's not a lot I'm going to have to fill in. Got this one has to be filled in and pulled a little bit. This was a open square. This is a striped square. I don't know what to call those. Is that the right word? This is a striped square. That one's already filled in. Those are filled in. Yeah, those look pretty good, huh? I'm gonna lift it up. Ooh, yeah, that's right. That should be open. And here's a spot that I'll show you before I move, that I went beyond my circle line, and it's hard to see, and I apologize for that. But all I really need to do, and this is even just with a dry Q-tip, is I'm just cleaning it up so it's not beyond my line. If it didn't move when I used the Q-tip, I would simply wet it, my Q-tip, with a little alcohol. So I've got to fill in here, here, and here, just a tiny, tiny bit. It's not a lot. So I'm gonna, but always making sure, probably the biggest part is making sure that if it's an open square, that I've already filled that in. So it's a little tiny bit here and a little tiny bit there that needs to get filled in. So give myself a little bit of line, a little line. And again, I'm going to tell you, we're going to come back after we do our deer head with the what are they?
Snowflakes.
Snowflakes, thank you. Again, I overstepped my bounds here. And I'm going to get rid of that.
And it would probably end up under a snowflake anyway.
Exactly, but you know, if I didn't stress about something, it wouldn't be fun. All right, this is our big area we have to worry about. Again, I'm just lining it up. Hey, one of my tricks always with stenciling is to look at the back of your stencil, and if you see extra paint in the back, you really need to clean that off before you go on to your next step, because that's also a point of where things like to bleed. Ooh, I keep moving this the wrong way. Again, as I put this down, I'm wanting to make sure I'm lining up my, oops, my stripes, but a big part of this is looking at where my empties are and that I actually have paint already on there. So this is my edge that I'm going to be doing. I'm going to give myself a little cheat line so I have an idea. I'm filling up my brush. I'm using the lines. This is a full one. This one gets pulled toward us. This is full. And here we go. I think we've got it. By George, we've got it. And we have this tiny little bit up here, and I know it'd be really easy to just not worry about it, but I'm going to go ahead and just take a tiny touch of time. Look at where my line is supposed to be, right about here, and just fill in a little bit. All right, how do we do? There we go. So that is the first step. I will tell you, in a perfect setting, I would go and set this in water right away. I probably don't have that. Oh wait, I do have that option. I have my husband standing here. It's awesome. But if you don't, one thing you can do is to make sure you have a tub that has water in it and you can set these in. But regardless, when you are done with your project, make sure you are cleaning your stencils. Letting them sit for a long period of time makes them harder to clean. And they're already a little bit of a challenge. But so that one's going that way. We have our silver done on the background here. As I told you earlier, Essential Stencil is going to be watching your comments and such, and they're going to be giving away three sets of stencils at the end of the night, so make sure you comment. And if you find stencils you need to order, by all means do so, and please use the code CHEERS, CHEERS, when you check out, and you'll get 10% off your entire order. Plus, there's a lot of stencils on sale right now, so that's a really, really good deal. Okay, pardon me?
Can I run water?
You can run water. He's running water to keep my stencils nice and clean. All right, I'm maybe using this brush a little later, so instead of just drying it off, I'm just going to wrap it in some plastic wrap. And that way when I go to use it again, if I need to use it again, I can. Otherwise, I would definitely stick that right in water so it didn't dry out. If I put it in water right now and I had to use it again, it would be kind of hard to get it dry enough. Okay, we have our buffalo check background. We're now going to pick up our buffalo head.
Not a buffalo head.
It's not, I'm sorry. It's a deer head. Oh my Lord.
It's a portrait of a live deer.
A portrait of a live deer. Okay. It's a good thing I have him, isn't it? All right. So I'm going to line this up the best I can. I tell you, I think it might have been a fluke that the other one ended up being so spot on. Oh, there we go. Maybe this way a little bit. What do you think? Yeah?
Yeah, I think you're good.
All right. Again, I am going to tape it down so it doesn't move. Please note too, I'm doing this backwards. It may look right to you, and I may be hanging in the ceiling, but he's upside down to me. So I just ask for a little grace.
Somebody said you missed a square.
I did, right here.
I think that's an opportunity for a snowflake.
You know, thank you. Look at that. That's an opportunity for a snowflake. Okay, but I did miss one. The other part of me says I could take a liner brush. Anyway, it's a snowflake. We'll put a snowflake there. Okay. All right. So with the next color I'm going to use is just going to be a straight white paint. I am using DecoArt paint. paints and all this, again, they're just straight acrylics. If I wanted this to be a permanent thing, I would be using an enamel paint.
Yes, the paint will clean off a mirror easily with a razor blade. And yes, there is blank squares, filled in squares, and striped squares within the plaid.
I just did that so I can show you how that can easily be taken off. I'll do it in a minute. I could do it right now by using just a Q-tip. But if I let it dry, if I didn't know I did it, and I need to come back to it, I'm going to show you with a razor blade how we can clean that off. It'll bother somebody for a while, but that's okay.
Everybody loves the idea of stenciling on a mirror.
It's a great decorative piece because you still have the mirror, and especially with this because our empty squares are still mirror. So they reflect whatever is around them. I like to paint on mirrors. I like to paint on small mirrors that we change seasonally, but this is a good one to go. All right, so I'm going to fill him in. Again, I can use one of these sponsor brushes or a makeup sponge. I can even use, as I throw it, a regular stencil brush. I think for this one, I'm just going to go ahead and show you it with the makeup sponge. Again, I'm going to load my brush. I'm going to tap some of it off, and I'm always going to tap it on my paper towel. That's called offloading. When we pick up our paint and then we take some of it off. So with this, I'm just going to start. I'm going to tell you as I do this, this isn't going to be enough. I'm going to see too much of the stencil background through this for my liking and for yours, and that's okay. I still don't want to put too much paint on, because if I put too much paint on, it has the opportunity to bleed underneath. By keeping it drier, I don't bleed, and in this case, one coat is not as good as several light coats. When I come to skinny areas like this is that tiny little spot right there that divides his head and his neck so you can see it. I might even tap onto the solid part of the stencil so that I don't do too much. I'm gonna come back and fill it in.
It's about a 20 by 30 mirror, give or take. A couple people asked what size.
The stencil itself is the outer edge of it is like 16 by 20. No, that's not true. No.
Right,
I do it on a 16 by 20. I do it on a 16 by 20 canvas, so it must be about 12 by
16.
12 by 16. So this is 12 by 16. The one canvas I showed you that I did it on, that's a 16 by 20 canvas. And he's pretty well centered in the middle of that. Oops. So I'm still doing my first coat here.
I think we've had a lot of people join that they're anxious to see the finished product that didn't see the beginning.
Oh, well, you know what? While I am blow drying this, when I do the first coat here, I will ask my cameraman, who did not ask to be a cameraman, if he would mind going and showing you my front door. Would you mind?
Not a problem.
Okay, so let me finish putting this first coat on. Again, I am tapping it onto my paper towel. I'm just going up and down. Tap, 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 tap. I don't want to go over my wet paint because it'll just pick it up. And that's not the desired effect. So I'm trying not to go over too much of my wet paint. Getting my first coat on, and I'm going to hit this with a blow dryer. Yes, you certainly could just let it dry in between coats. If you're that patient, God bless you. I'm never that patient.
We go through a lot of blow dryers.
Uh-oh. Oh, see, as I've done this, I've actually spattered a couple spots. Thank goodness for razor blades. I am not a perfectionist.
You're an artist.
I totally believe in design changes. And I also believe that we all have our own way of creating things to make them our own. So, all right, so I have put my first coat down. I want to show you just really quickly before he leaves you. 2 tips actually here. I've taped this down, but I try to leave an area that isn't like completely pushed down really hard so that I have an opportunity so I can lift it up. This is gonna be really important when you do the snowflakes. But as I pick it up, can you see that you still see your background through that? And I don't want that much background showing through my deer. So that's why I'm either going to patiently let him dry or hit him with a blow dryer. So as I hit it with a blow dryer, I'm going to ask my sweet husband if he would be so kind to walk out to our front door and show you how I did this on the glass part of our screen door.
So who wants to see some Christmas trees on the way? Chime in, give me a like. We only have 10 or so up.
You can't see them all.
I can't see them all, but as we walk out, this is our vintage tinsel tree from about the 1950s or 60s. Again, I'm walking slowly. I got yelled at the other day for walking too fast as I was doing this. This is our living room tree with a lot of presents for our grandkids. And now I'm going to walk you into the front hall. This is the woodland tree that goes with all our little deer-oriented themes. I love to make things out of old reclaimed wood. This is an old spindle, a group of spindles that I made a snowflake out of. And this is my spindle tree. It's made out of chair spindles and porch spindles. Oh wait, there's a tractor grill with a wreath on it. Here's a giant shutter with a mirror on it. That was going to be the project tonight, but we couldn't get the lighting to work very well. Oh wait, who's that good-looking guy? So pardon the camera angles here. I'm going to go out and close the front door. Move this around so you can see the stencil on our front door. The whole finished project really came out beautiful. I'm a bit of a Clark Griswold when it comes to Christmas lights in the yard. There's a whole bunch out here. I'm only doing this to kill time while she blow dries the stencil, guys. So, and yes, I will show a couple more trees. That one, we got this one. We're going to walk into the hallway. Oh, it's lights out. This is the little pink tree. And one of my wife's favorite artifacts, a giant old shutter. And an old dresser my wife painted. I'm going to back my way out. Sounds like the blow dryer has stopped. We're going to work our way back into the kitchen. Oh, I have one more tree to show. This has become sort of our pride and joy every year that my wife spends a great deal of time on. And I know none of this has anything to do with stenciling, but we do this tree every year that my wife takes and frames pictures from the year, and we affectionately call it the picture tree. So it's pictures of our family, our friends, events throughout the year. So our friends all chime in and send us texts and emails. Did I make the picture tree? Did I make the picture tree? This year was a little odd since we didn't have the opportunity to spend as much time with other friends and such. The front door is actually stenciled on the outside, but it's pretty much out of the elements because it's under our front porch. We have a little tree that we call our bar tree that has sort of vintage bar-like ornaments. And I believe that there is several more trees around, but we'll sort of work our way back. Oh, I've got to show you one more. Maybe two more here. So these, I had a bunch of old vintage ceiling tin that I cut into trees and mounted them on little porch spindles. They came out very cool. I think that's actually an essential stencil. Our little truck, vintage truck there that my wife painted the Christmas tree into the back of it. We live in the far northern part of Illinois. And we're going to work our way back to the artist at hand. We are antiquers and pickers and junkers at heart. So we have a lot of antiques and vintage things in our home. Oh, wait, another tree. Sitting on our buffet, along with some very cool vintage windows that we have in here. So who would have thought? You come to a stencil class and you get a tour of a house.
Sorry, Ruben. All right, so I've gone back and given him another coat. He probably might. Let's check. So I'm picking him up.
He's looking pretty good.
He's pretty covered. Think he needs more?
Maybe just for time, maybe not. How long did the snowflakes take?
Well, you know what? I think we're good.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to lift him up. And you know what? He would actually be fine just like that. There'd be nothing wrong with that. I mean, come on. Unless I come back and fix my boo-boos here. Oops. That was not fine. So somewhere along here I have a razor blade.
I'll take the razor blade and you can do that. Oh, you want me to take the stencil?
So this is just a razor blade. So this is the purposeful goof I did for you earlier. And look, I'm just taking a razor blade and cleaning that off. And if I need to, I can come back with some window cleaner and a little alcohol and even make it make it more clean. Okay. Look, I've got a little boo-boo there. I don't really care. Because I know I want to come around here with some snowflakes. Okay? And even places that I may have overshot my circle. Razor blades are my friend at this point.
Somebody asked if that crayon will come off easy.
The crayon you're not going to see because I'm going to put my stencil around it. Look, yes it does. Look, if that bothers you, you could just take that little bit of razor blade and remove most of it. But it's a little line, and we're going to be putting snowflakes around this. Again, very few things I do are completely perfect. So, oh, thank you. So, snowflakes. You could hand paint every snowflake. I could not hand paint every snowflake. So when it came to getting stencils for my snowflake, I did go to my stash of essential stencil products that have snowflakes in them. This happens to be the Let It Snow porch cleaner, to which, I don't know if you can see.
Bring it up a little closer. There you go. Yeah.
There's a snowflake part of that. This is a, baby, it's cold outside, and again, they include snowflakes. In one of the Christmas sets that are the squares, there is a snowflake in it, and I like this because it's very solid, so it's a good place to start, and then I can use different size snowflakes to fill in. Essential Stencil has so many great holiday stencils, either in the 6x6 squares, or the tags. Lots of them. And one of the things I wanted to share after I posted this in my chaos mess this morning is I take my tag stencils. I like to have a black piece of paper a piece of paper. It doesn't have to be black behind them. So as I'm thumbing through them, I know what they are. And I hang them from a, what's it called? Ring.
Yeah.
Just a ring.
Yeah.
And then in my studio, I have slats that I have nails on, and they just hang. So that's a idea for a way to organize your stencils. Either keeping all the season together, or maybe you do them individually. This one happens to be a couple different ones that Essential Stencil has. And I find when I get them, if I cut the front of them out, it then tells me that, oh, I need to make sure I have my joy and my peace and my Noel in there. And it's kind of a way for me to kind of keep organized. Huge point on semi. Okay. So let's do some stencils. I'm going to start off with my thicker stencil, just so that fills in a little more. And there's no right or wrong way to do this, but I want to have different ones here and there. When I did the ones that I showed you, of course the winner one isn't around here. I just did the snowflakes, kind of like his wreath. And that's absolutely fine. I certainly could do that on this because I knew I wanted it to kind of look more like a wreath around him. I want to have snowflakes all around. This is my way. It's not the only way. The other thing I did is I chose to do some of my snowflakes with white and some of them with the pearl color. Now I use the pearl silver underneath, but I'm going to use the pearl white when I do the snowflakes. But let's start with this guy and do a few of them with just white. So I'm going to put down some more white paint. And I just used white, so I've still got white on that sponge, so let's use that. Tapping it off on my plate and then making sure I tap it off on a paper towel as well. And I'm just going to start adding some of these snowflakes. And I'm using a very light pressure, so I'm not picking up too much of my snowflake. Snowflakes are delicate. They like to pick up, they like to bleed. So remember to always take off a little bit. Now I didn't do this yet, and look, I'm going to have to take this snowflake off, and I don't want to really move it because I could smear it. So I'm going to take just a piece of painter's tape, and I'm going to put it on my stencil, leaving some of it exposed so I can lift it straight off. Then I have mostly clean edges. Mostly.
I'm going to do a little close-up here.
All right, so I'm going to do another one, same way. I've added some paint, I've tapped it off, tapped it on my paper towel. I'm tapping. Okay, and again, because I left this on here, I can just pick it up, and it's mostly clean. I'm going to do a couple more of these, and then I'll switch to another snowflake. Tapping it off, tapping on my paper plate, paper towel, and tapping. If I tap too hard, I'm going to want to pull that stencil back up, and then when I press down again, it gives it more opportunity to bleed. I don't want it to bleed. We have a website, cheerstocreativity.com. Always, always changing. We would love for you to follow us on Facebook and on Instagram. I'm sure you all know this has been a challenging year for small businesses, and the more that you can like and interact with their posts and share, it helps them immensely. And so we all thank you for supporting us, one, for shopping small, shopping local, in this lovely season of giving. Shopping your small businesses really, really does matter this year, even more than before. Tapping off my plate, tapping on my paper towel.
Steph, you're right. Her husband is really nice.
He's amazing. He is my better half. Yes, I said that. Yes, he can mark it down.
But I never get to hold it against her.
Well, hopefully not. I hope I don't give him too many reasons. Be careful not to go over the same spot too many times because you're dealing with wet on wet paint and you can end up picking up. Oops. That's okay. We fixed it. So maybe one more and then we'll switch to another lovely stencil. Notice I am overlapping a little into my circle of buffalo plaid. That really is more to do with how much space you're trying to create. This was an oval that I put a circle in, so I'm kind of careful that I didn't want to go on the very, very outer edges. So I tapped onto my So did you enjoy the little extra tour of the trees? Grateful he didn't take you downstairs or into the bathrooms or to our
Yes,
bedrooms.
there's Christmas trees in the bathrooms.
Yes, there are Christmas trees in the bathrooms. So this is we're going to call this my fat snowflake. No offense, but it covers a lot of area. So I'm going to set that down. Then I'm going to pick up another one of the stencils. I don't cut my stencils apart. There are some people who do. The rare times I do is usually because of a saying. But the nice thing about using this and then having another one to go to is that I can let them dry in between. Always, always checking the back of my stencil to make sure there's no buildup because that's going to matter how your stencil comes out as well. And these can get overlapped a little bit or a lot. I'm still sticking just with white. I will change momentarily. So as my stencils, not my stencils, essential stencils, get more detailed, you have to decide what works best for you. Is it the sponge up and down, or is it going into more of a bristle brush? So what I found on the more detailed ones, this one, I'm going to show you just with this makeup sponge again. So I tapping off. It's fine as long as you keep a light pressure. You don't want to be picking up too much. By that I mean stepping down and it pulls up. See that? Stepping down, pulls up. Because that gives you the opportunity for it to bleed. So, I'm going to do a couple like this. Boom, 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 boom. What did I forget to do? I don't have a good way to pick that up. So again, taking a piece of tape, just setting it down somewhere, but leaving me a place to pick it up. That way when I pick it up, I still keep nice clean edges. Let me show you the same stencil up here, but I'm going to switch over for a moment and go into crash. A stencil brush. This is an essential stencil brush. Highly, highly recommend the essential stencil brushes. They hold up exceptionally well. They clean very well. They keep their shape. They're just good. Here, so for this, I'm going to load my brush. I'm going to take some off on my plate, and I'm still going to take some off on my paper towel. Working with this guy right here. And so in this one, I'm going to do more of an up and down tapping motion. If I swirl too much, again, I can chance going underneath it. Might swirl a little bit. Little. So using that little cheap spot and pick it up. Still has a really nice coverage. Let's do one more up here, and then I'm going to switch to a different snowflake. Again, I'm going to load my brush up. Take some of it off on my paper plate, some of it off my paper towel. Oh my goodness. Looking at our time.
We're going to run over a little.
Well, we might run over a tiny bit. So sorry.
Sorry, Ruben.
I'll just show you a couple more of this one and then we'll go on to a smaller size. I'm going to do one more, but here, and then we will, thank you, honey. We'll go to a different size and I'm going to switch to the, oops.
Take
I'm
your
going to
time.
go to the other paint. So this has all been done with the straight white paint. And the straight white paint is going to show up more opaque than what I'm going to switch to, which is going to be the metallic paint. Could I do them all in just straight acrylic? Absolutely. And I could stop right now. He looks really pretty good. But I rarely just stop at that. So I'm going to switch to another snowflake. Let's do this guy. What do you think? That one?
Sure, yeah.
All right. So I'm going to wipe most of my paint off on this brush. It's hard to see white on white, but I did.
People love the snowflakes on the mirror.
Oh, great. Could you get me another plate, please? Thank you. There is no, oh, that's silver, which we will use, but not right now. So, let's find the color I wanted, which happens to be the white metallic. Sorry, set it down. No, that's not the right one. Well then.
Right there, it's fallen over. Next
Oh,
to
I
the thing.
did, thank you. White Deco Art Metallic. I took most of my paint off of my brush. I'm now going to swirl it into the metallic paint. And again, take some off on the plate. Always, always, always offloading. If you don't, you end up with way more paint than you need. Where we said we're going to put this guy.
Thanks, Kim. Lovely and classy, she says.
Thank you. So I put it here where there's a little empty space, and I'm still going to just do more of that tapping. Smaller lines I find work best for me, when I do more of the tapping for the more detailed lines than just swirling. I got a spot there, but it's okay. I can come back and take that off either. Oh, that's not a spot. it was free. Okay, so there's one. It looks like we need something over here. Setting it down. Tapping, 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 tapping.
People are loving it. They're saying it's looking
Are
great. It's looking beautiful.
Thank you. I did not put my little piece of tape down, which would be the best way to do it, but I do have places over here that are clear to pick up, so that's good. How about one here? And then I'll switch to another snowflake. Are y'all decorated? I just, curious. Tammy with 10 trees is decorated.
This is the first year we've ever been almost completely decorated before Thanksgiving.
Well, just a day or two.
Yeah, it's been kind of a weird year. So
Here's a good time to see you. So I don't have an easy way to pick this up. I'm going to make sure it's still staying in the spot. I'm going to go back to my tape. This is just such an easy, quick way to be able to lift off a stencil when you don't have a way to do it. So I put it down on my stencil, leaving part of it up. That way I can lift it up without smearing it. Do we need more of this one anywhere? What do you think?
Nope.
No? Should we go into another one?
Yep, and then a different paint.
Different paint. Well, this is...
Aren't you doing the silver?
I didn't do silver with it.
Oh, never mind. I'm sorry.
No, we could.
I'll be quiet.
We certainly could. But I'm going to come back and I just used the one we did before just because it's drier. Checking, make sure there's nothing wet behind me. And I'm going to go to this guy because I've done big. I want to do a couple medium. I can either do white or I can do the metallic. It really is what you feel you need where. I just want to get a couple of these on here so I can show you the other thing I did. So there's that one. Let's do one over here. I do get a little anal when I do things like this and make sure there's right numbers and all that stuff, but you don't need to. You only need to reload your brush when you need to reload it. On about. Okay, I think we need something smaller.
Get that little one right there in the middle.
This one?
Yeah, that one. The little one.
The little? I got this little right here.
There you go.
Okay, so look at that. All right.
The little one up there.
Little one up here. This is great. I love having somebody who's helping.
All right, what's next?
All right, so we've done this, right? I want to show you the not the last, well, almost last, yeah, thing that I came back and did. So right now, I'm going to make sure I have a puddle of paint. Did you take that first plate? You did.
It's sitting over here.
Oh, that's okay. It doesn't matter. Oh, would you please pick that up for me? All right. Remember I did that puddle of silver. There's my puddle of white. Can I have that one too, sweetheart? And then this is the metallic. I'm going to just give it a puddle here. I came back and I'm going to fill in spots that need a little more paint, a little more snowflakes with using the end of my brush. So this is the metallic, and I'm going to go dot, 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 dot. And I'm going to go around and do that in different places. I might even dot in the middle of a snowflake. Each dot, dip dot will be the same size, but if I dip dot and make several dots, they get smaller. Now I did my metallic dip dots. Almost done. Again, as I'm looking at these, some of these are not perfect snowflakes. Have you seen a perfect snowflake? I wiped my brush off. Now I'm going to go into the silver and do the same thing. No magical number for dip dip dots. Just I'm going to go all the way around. I sometimes go right over a snowflake that I painted. Sometimes don't get enough paint. It's just that extra element. One, it's a little different texture. I'm adding color. And I come back and I can do the white the same way, and then I gotta show you the one last thing I gotta do. Just gotta do it. So this is the white. Yep. Running around with the white. But then just to add a touch of more glitter to this, I'm gonna go back into the Deco Art Twinkles. This is the clear. It does come in other colors as well. Again, giving a puddle of paint. Same thing, end of my brush. Dipping and dotting. When this dries clear, all you see is glitter. So I want you to know that I did the three elements. We did the buffalo plaid. We did the solid coverage of paint with the deer. We did the snowflakes in different colors, different types of paint. You could do any of these elements individually. That deer head can just be done on a stained piece of wood. The buffalo can just be done as a background. You can do the buffalo on top of the deer as something totally different. The snowflakes are so fun to mix and aren't just holiday. Certainly we, especially in the Midwest, see snowflakes well past Christmas. So the Essential Stencils gives you many opportunities to mix their stencils together, to do many different things with them. I hope you have a chance to follow all the ambassadors in what they do. You never know what they're going to come up with. We would absolutely adore for you to follow us at Cheers to Creativity. Check out our Facebook page. Follow us on Instagram. Have any questions at all on this or anything else? Feel free to email me at cheerstocreativity@gmail.com, and I'll get back to you as quick as I can. And as I said, I will take time tonight when we're done here, maybe enjoy a glass of wine and look at your comments. And if you have any questions, be happy to answer them. And I hope you all are having a fabulous holiday season thus far. To our Jewish friends, Happy Hanukkah. To coming up, Merry Christmas. And until we see you again, please be safe, be kind. Cheers. Bye.
Finish.